All right. Good afternoon. This lovely January 11th, 2026. Uh, hello. We are your Blerdsassins Next Door. This is Penelope Flynn here with James, Goodrich, Otto, and Nikki. And we want to welcome you all to this show. And today we are going to be talking about the future, the vision of the future, and how the future has been portrayed in film, television, and in music, and those works that are our favorites and those that kind of miss the mark. So before we get started, we are going to talk a little about the weather. And James, you are at the top. So how's the weather in New York?
Okay, right now it's 45 degrees and it's cloudy.
Hmm.
Um, it's been pretty much the same thing like that this weekend. We had a lot of rain Friday and Saturday, so it's been a very overcast weekend, I guess.
All right. We like the weekend, but we like overcast too. So um, anybody else have lovely weather going on? Overcast. Oh, by the way, I was going to ask you. You said overcast, but was it cold?
No, it wasn't really cold. It's just uh I don't know, it's slightly chilly, but that
Hmm.
was about it. But I think the temperature is going to drop to what it's supposed to be during the week. This time of year in
Hmm.
New York City, this coming week, or
Okay. Okay. And Otto, how about your weather?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, the weather here is pretty good. We were in a location prior last week where it was like 80 and it's 55, 60 here. So a little bit
Hmm.
of chill, but it's sunny. So nothing.
I mean, is this normal though for this time of year? Is it warmer, cooler?
You never know about this place. I mean, I think, I think several years back it was like minus 13 in the same
Hmm.
time frame. So I'll put 60.
Okay, I'll go with that too. All right, Nikki, how is your weather in sunny South Florida?
It is now sunny and 83 degrees.
Wow, that sounds wonderful.
It is. I got the
Wow,
I got my fan on and everything.
that sounds great for
See,
this
this
time
is
of year. So, what did you say, Otto?
I said 80 degrees is wasted on Nikki.
Why?
'Cause you got the fan on and everything. It's 80
Yeah.
degrees.
And the air
Degrees.
conditioner look, the air conditioner is gonna be coming on in like about 5 minutes too.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people would want that temperature without the air conditioning and fan.
Yeah, man, we go outside and enjoy that heat. You know,
Nah,
And enjoy
this
that
time
sun.
of year. Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
it's too hot.
That's why
It's
people
too
get
hot.
like depressed during the wintertime because they don't get out, don't get enough sun.
Hmm.
So if you have access to the sun, you should really take advantage.
Definitely take advantage of it if you can.
Well,
no,
look, the
actually,
three of
actually,
you are
Hmm.
the three of y'all
actually,
are invited to come and take advantage of the sun. We got a big house. We got enough rooms for everybody. So all three of you, pack your stuff up and come on and take advantage of the sun.
Cool.
well, actually, I get depressed when the temperature rises this time of
Really?
year. Yeah, because I want winter to be winter, and I want summer to be summer, and fall and spring to be fall and spring.
Well, here in Fort Lauderdale, to be honest with you, in a few weeks it'll get cold. It'll get down to like about a few days ago, well, it got down to like about 50 degrees.
Wow.
It's not cold
So
though.
yeah, that's cool at this time of year.
Jacket
Yeah,
weather.
yeah. So I had to go outside and I had to be ready.
Ready for
Yep.
what?
It was
Jacket
cold.
weather. Yes, jacket
It
weather.
got cold weather. I
It
ain't
was.
ready to.
It's only 50 degrees. It's not like
Yeah,
it's.
Yeah, but
you gotta get
if you're
ready. You gotta
not
put
ready
on a
for it,
jacket.
it can be really bad. So
You gotta get
Yeah,
jacket
ready. You gotta
weather.
put on a jacket. You gotta be
and
kid.
Yeah, I mean it's
and I
jacket weather.
And I looked at our mango tree. We got a lot of mango blooms. So that means we're going to have mangoes again this summer. And we're going to hope and pray that the iguanas don't eat them like they did last year.
Yeah, let's hope not.
Langos, that's one thing.
Yeah. All right. Now, beyond that, our discussion today is regarding a vision of the future. All the films, songs, television shows, etc., that portend the future, and whether or not here in 2026 any of those songs actually made the grade or reflect what the future is now, or even that they reflect the future that we would like to have sometime pretty soon. So yeah, that's it. So I mean, as far as that, and I know a lot of us are science fiction fans and um future, I mean, or fantasy fans that deal with places that may be in the future. So do you have anything in your inventory of books or music that make you think, this is, the future that I'm looking forward to, or that make you think, huh, the future is now and it's not so great?
Um, I guess I guess I was sold a bill of goods
No
in
joke,
the
man.
'60s because growing up, you watch Star Trek and you watch Lost in Space. You thought the future was going to be bright, and it was funny because sometimes shows like that, and especially a show like Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea, the future to them was like 1982,
Hmm.
1983, maybe even 1973. Um, yeah, back then I was sold a bill of goods because I thought the future was going to be bright. I didn't think it was going to be, what's the word, dystopian.
Yes.
I didn't think, watching the a bunch of Charleston Heston movies back then,
Omega
Omega
Man,
Man,
right?
Soylent Green,
Yeah.
Planet of the Apes. I didn't think, it was gonna be, that dystopian. Um, but I don't know. Now all of that stuff that I thought was gonna be, the norm, it's just not. Even
Mhm.
with 2001: A Space Odyssey, we saw the video phones, and we thought that Pan Am was gonna be
Yeah, yeah, still
you know
around.
still around, and what we didn't know was that in the future. Well, one thing that was correct, I guess, with Terminator is that it seems like we're heading to a world where some type of Skynet is running everything. Um, also, you know, corporations. I mean, you look at Alien, Outlands. The corporations,
Mhm.
would be running things like mining companies out in space. It's just that it's here now. I mean, look at what's the movie Colossus, the Foreman Project. You know, um, seems like we might even be heading in that direction with AI.
Mhm.
You know, um, as far as music goes, I can't really recall. Maybe it's me. I just can't recall any songs. Maybe what's the song in the year 2525? I think it is.
Yeah, that song.
Yeah. Um. No, actually I thought I thought when it came to the future of music, I thought we would have a lot more music that used what's they called the theorem.
Theremin.
Yeah, the theremin.
Yeah, no.
I thought, by I guess the year 2026, most of the music would be you know, silly me.
Yeah, well,
Uh-huh.
in the 80s, I thought, that movement they have toward everything being synthesizers, that their intention was to phase out actual acoustic music, you know,
Yeah,
and going toward everything being synthesized.
yeah, yeah.
That was the downfall of Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Oh yes, yes. I would say the worstest album that they ever came out with was Electric Universe.
Electric Universe. You bought that album too?
Yeah,
That album was trash.
yeah.
I was I was
It,
mad I spent my money on it.
I mean, it took until recently for me to warm up to Magnetic. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? I don't know where they were going with that, but
Because they saw Lionel Richie in concert, and Lionel Richie did not have anything like that like they had. So they
right.
decided because Lionel Richie went, went what you call it, they got rid of his stuff even though he never had it. They decided they're going to get rid of their stuff like that and the Phoenix horn section.
Exactly. And getting back to the synthesizer, at that time in the 80s, I had a roommate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Charlie Royster. He was trying to be, I guess, the next Prince,
Hmm.
and we would get into arguments because he was like, "Yeah, the synthesizer is gonna replace, you know, replace regular instruments," and I was
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
like, "No." And then you had what they called the MIDI,
Yes. Yeah.
and actually, I can remember going, even though they were synthesizer based, I can remember going to a concert at the Palladium in New York, Diva, and it was funny because the first half of their show they did all synthesizers, even a drum machine,
Hmm.
and then the second half they did with their regular, guitars, bass, and drums. So in the '80s, you kind of thought that, oh my God, especially Prince, you know, you thought that that was the direction that
But even
you,
when Prince was performing, they had acoustic, electric guitars, not acoustic, but electric guitars. They had
yeah,
drummers. He had actual band people singing. He
hmm
didn't go. I don't think he went all in like so many others did. With the concept just having a synthesizer
yeah.
and a
Well,
drum machine.
yeah, yeah, he didn't go all in, but you kind of thought that things were going to change because half of the time, a good portion of his music, he would go in the studio, play all
Hmm.
the instruments
Yeah, by himself.
by himself. A lot of people think that the time that their first album was actually Morris Day,
Hmm.
Jimmy Jam, Jelly Bean, rest in peace because he passed away, and Monty Moore and all that. But no, the first time
Uh,
album
I'm
that
sorry.
was,
I'm going to interrupt and say I didn't know Jelly Bean Benitez was gone.
yeah, he passed away last year.
Wow, I had no idea.
Yeah, he did. Yes.
I had no
Yeah,
idea.
yeah, he
Mm-hmm.
passed away last year. But yeah, that first time album, that was all him. So you kind of thought that maybe at some point he was gonna say the hell of it and just use synthesizers and just do his own thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, possibly. Yeah.
Um, yeah, but that really with the synthesizer, it just didn't come to pass. Now, when it comes to the future, when you look at it now, you don't really have, if you have the right instruments, you don't even have to go. If you have the right computer,
Yeah.
in your house, you don't even have to go into a studio.
Yep.
Yep,
You know,
that's true.
yeah, you don't even. And another thing about the future when it comes to the movies, I could remember going to see Close Encounters of the Third Kind,
Hmm.
and I remember coming out to Ziegfeld, and I'm looking up at the sky, and I'm like, it's just a matter of time. I actually felt that we were going to make contact with extraterrestrials in the next year or so. You know what I'm saying? And especially the next year, right after that, it was a famous incident, I think, in New Zealand where uh, a television crew were on a plane and they actually, by chance, filmed a UFO.
Hmm.
So, I actually thought that by 2026, what's that movie with, I think, James Caan, and I think they made it into a TV show.
Alien Nation.
Yeah, where the aliens, what they used to get drunk off spoiled milk.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I love that show. I gotta admit, I love that
Yeah,
show.
I thought that by 2026, you know, that's that
That
was
was the
gonna be
way
the
of
norm.
things. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So I don't know. Otto, how about you? Do you have any um thoughts as to what you thought that it would be, and like 2026, what you thought it would be, or the bright or not so bright future that you see coming? Hmm. All right. The Otto is not uh sound wise not with us. So how about you, Sonia?
Hi.
Hey.
Hey, Sonia.
Hi. I'm a victim of flip flop weather. Sorry, it was nice and hot 2 days, and now it's starting to snow again. So my
Wow.
body's like, I hate you.
Get me out of here.
I got a
Yeah,
cup of tea. I just made breakfast for our returning house. I mean, dinner for our returning housemates. It's in the casseroles in the oven, and my body is like, could we just keep going south, please?
Yeah, yeah.
It saw this as it saw the snow falling. So
Well, Sonia, don't worry. I have enough. I have enough weather here. It's 83 degrees, so I'm gonna think
uh,
about you. Okay.
it was a beautiful 50 Thursday. It was 40
Wow.
something, and I don't even know how. Let me check my weather thingy. I was like, yeah, they're coming back from North Carolina, so of course today they'll snow. Uh,
That's the
so I'm,
punishment for coming back.
yeah, I'm so
yeah.
The
sorry.
warm weather.
Yeah,
That
I'm so
part of
sorry.
that part of the state that you're in, it
It's
usually stop.
31 now.
Oh my
It usually
goodness.
31
stops.
feels like 19. So
Wow.
it's a whole 20 something degrees colder than it was yesterday this time.
Yeah, it usually stops snowing in July. So you're good.
The sun was out for a little bit, so I took it. I took it. But change what I expected the future when I was trying to reply when James said he thought we would have made contact by now. I said the aliens didn't see intelligent life in our leadership, so they turned back around.
Yeah.
That I fully expected. I fully expected to see somebody saying, "Hey, there's something approaching," and see it turn around.
Well,
Uh,
with Close Encounters of the Third Kind, actually, I thought that that was something that had took place already, and that
Mhm.
they just made it into a movie to sort of like soften the blow when the aliens return.
Okay, maybe. But I'll tell you the thing,
it could be.
Close Encounters, the thing that I did not like is like when you realize, at the end, that he goes off, on the alien ship, that, wait a minute, didn't he have a wife and kids?
What's yes, he had a kid. I know he had kids. I don't remember about
Yeah, he had
I
a
think
wife
I
and
thought he was
Yeah.
kids.
divorced.
No,
No,
he had a wife and
Terry
kids.
Gar wasn't
Terry
I
Terry
Garr wasn't
Gar.
couldn't.
his wife, it
Yeah,
was
I
somebody
couldn't
else.
remember. I haven't
It
seen
was
it in so
someone
long. I
else
can't
that was his
remember.
wife, and he had some bad kids. And so that justifies you abandoning everyone for your own wishes. Then the first time I saw the film, I was really more focused on, the journey, the plot, of the aliens. But later on, when I look back, I said, wait a minute, this guy
Yeah,
abandoned
he
his
abandoned
family,
family. Yeah,
so he can go off with aliens or something. I said, so child
and
support,
by the
right?
time he
Is
came
the government
back,
going to pay his child support or
and by
something?
the time he came back, he'd be the great grandfather.
Something.
I mean, come on, look at those kids that he deal
But you know what? Those are
with.
his kids.
I,
They didn't
I'm,
get that
I'm
way
sorry.
on their own.
I'm
Those are
sorry,
his
but
kids.
a little grain of thought it would pop in my mind would be, I gotta get away from the kids. Now the wife, yeah, but the kids, my God, they were like off the hook.
Yeah, they were really bad. But again,
Yeah,
his
Uh,
kids,
Or
you
you could
know,
send the kids with the aliens.
yeah, that's an idea. There you go,
but
Sonya.
Okay.
I tell you, for at the end, I actually teared up, not so much because of him, but I started to get kind of emotional with the I guess they were astronauts
That all came
that
back.
volunteered.
Oh, them, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, my thing, I was like the Terry Guard character when her little boy came back. Now that's the thing. To get
yeah,
her child back was the big deal. I mean, because she's trying to hold on, and this is pulling and pulling and pulling, and takes her child from her.
Okay. My vision of the future, I actually thought that we would be on a more humanistic trajectory as
Mhm.
a race of the human race.
Mhm.
Um, and that got dashed on a certain on a two elections. So I kind of went, it just shows we're not gonna we're gonna it's always going to have to be something. We're always gonna have to fight for something.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I think
Even when
about.
the aliens show up, we're gonna have to fight.
I don't know. It's like thinking about our political systems, etc. I wonder. And maybe this thing happened because we have to be realistic that the way this system is, currently, that this does not serve us. And
I
for too
yeah.
long, we have just kind of allowed it to go on when this does not really serve us. If
I
the people
yeah,
who are in office now can make the changes that they have made
yeah.
without so much as a peep, or that regular people don't have the option or ability to stop them to have a say,
Yep.
then this system is bullshit. Excuse my French. I
I
mean,
yeah. I
this
thought
is
we'd be closer to John Lennon's Imagine.
that would be nice if that were true. I
I
thought
thought
we
we would be
were until we killed
closer
ourselves.
to imagining that, you know, the borders are man-made. You can't see them up in space.
Right, right.
Because, when what was it the show, Big Blue Marble? The world's a big
Yes,
blue marble when
Oh
you see
yes,
it
I
from up.
remember that.
yes.
When I heard Imagine, I was like, oh, he remembered the song. And then I went, wait, he's British. He would never have known the song.
Mhm. Yeah, I love that. The big blue marble. That
Yeah.
who was it
I
that made that comment? Which of the astronauts said they would look like a big blue marble in space?
oh, that was one of the that was one of the astronauts on the pre Apollo 11 missions. I think
Hmm.
maybe Apollo 8 or something, because that's when they took the picture, the famous picture of Earthrise.
Hmm.
It's a picture of the Earth.
which was made possible by telescopes developed by a black man.
You
There
know,
you go.
so yeah. Again, I thought that
Yeah, I
we
thought we
would,
would be closer to that. Not
yeah.
there,
N-
but closer.
Well, with me, I took it.
I foolishly thought we were already there. That's how dumb I was.
Well, that's what I was going to say. With the whole thing with Star Trek
Yeah.
and Lost in Space. I thought that we were already there. I mean, for Christmas, when I got my Major Matt Mason set, and I think his name was Lieutenant Jefferson, a black
Hmm.
astronaut. I thought, yeah, we were on our way.
Yeah.
We were on our way, and if anything, we would maybe even a Captain Scarlet type of thing with just a world government with Spectrum, and you know we were just looking towards the stars. Silly me.
Yeah. No joke. I'm with you, man. I thought that we were on our way, and that this stuff that's going on now is like, wait a minute, what is this? And I think that's the problem, that so many of us are just stymied because this is so not what we expected. So we are like, we don't have a foundation to stand on, even to begin the fight, because we don't know where the ground is. You know?
Yeah,
There's too
yeah,
many people looking at the minutia and worrying about every little detail and how to keep power over every little detail and not worrying about the bigger picture. It's like, how are we going to survive as a planet?
Well, see, having said that, that's what I wonder how do we get to the point where people are looking at, as you say, the minutia and how to hold on to power? Because actually, back then, I thought just the word fascism was obsolete, was dead.
Well,
Yeah, no joke.
I thought it was more like George Orwell or the Twilight Zone's obsolete man, where you have people who are, bureaucratic. They you can fly, except these people are holding onto your feet, not letting you jump.
Yeah, yeah.
It's more of that because these people, there's so many people invested in the past. They won't let you get to the future. So I thought, shows and movies or television shows that were Orwellian was more a true depiction of man's actual humanity.
Well, you know what? I kind of disagree. I think when you talk about George Orwell's, 1984 and Orwellian, I look at it like this. Everybody was so focused on communism and supposedly totalitarianism and socialism back then that social nationalism, national socialism, and fascism just slowly crept back.
Yeah, people were so busy celebrating when we made it past 1984. It's like, see, George Orwell was wrong.
That's
Yeah,
just yeah. That's
No,
just
he
a,
was
yeah.
just about
Just a
40
random.
years late. He was 40 years early.
Yeah,
yeah.
my thing was, and because in my philosophy class in college, philosophy philosophy professor said the biggest threat to humankind and futurism was nationalism. He didn't say fascism.
Mhm.
He didn't say communism. He didn't say socialism. He said nationalism. And so this is like when I was in like early 20s or something. So long time ago, quite a while ago. And so to James' point, we're seeing this now. This nationalism. This is what is pulling us back. And so to me, if I watch George Orwell or 1984 or even Animal Farm and Obsolete Man is
Mhm.
Brave New
buzzwords you
World.
hear now.
I mean, I hoped that that was where we
Yeah.
weren't headed. I thought that was just our science fiction. I was of the mind that no, this is just science fiction. We can look at it and we can say, hey, boy, these things sure aren't going to happen here, but apparently it looks like it actually could happen here
You put
because our
any of the
current
system,
system.
you put any of the systems, you put nationalism in it, it totally corrupts it. So, all of that home first or Germany first or America first or Russia first, all that stuff.
I mean, if you were going to
Nationalism.
strip those things like that, and nationalism, I think for the United States would not be a bad thing if it acknowledged the plurality of people within the United States, that we are not one homogeneous society, that we are a society of many different cultures. So if you were saying our nation, our nationalist culture is a whole bunch of cultures all put together, then that would make sense. But I think nationalism here and previous definition of nationalism all focus on homogeneous cultures, homogeneous societies where everyone is the same, and that's what they try to do, wash out everything else, pretend that any other individuals, groups, cultures that contributed to whatever the country is, at that time did not exist. Only those who are now trying to run the show, only their cultural perspective is the one that
Okay.
should uh excuse me.
And it's always the case because the thing is, whatever country you choose, the people who are in charge, they decide who's German or who's um, you know whatever country there is. So it's like, our country, love it or leave it. Love it or get the f out if you don't like it. You know,
Yeah.
and who's an
Like the
American? I
silliness.
mean, there's
Yeah, but
people.
like the silliness of it. We talked the other day about people saying, "You come here, you speak America, you speak English." I said, but English is no one that lives in the United States. A handful of people. Those are from England, Ireland, some of them Scotland, who are English speaking. These are the only people that English was their native language. The rest of the people that live here, English was never their native language. So to expect other people to come here and speak a language that is not our national language, but that is just a colonizer's language, how ignorant is that? You know?
I think people fell for the okey doke when they have this idea, and I fell for it too about the future being like the Jetsons or something, with our jetpacks and all that.
Yeah, I really wanted that. I was
We
looking
didn't
forward
see
to
we
it.
didn't we didn't see the other stuff. The people who are really invested in the past, who just
Hmm.
want to hold us back. They don't want that. They don't want that jetpack thing unless they can control it, right? They don't want.
Jetpacks can't operate on fossil fuels
They want
for
stuff they
long.
can control. The big joke we had was about everything being controlled by like a central organization. So much so that like if you needed clean air, there was a utility company that controlled your air, and you have to pay your monthly bill. If you didn't pay your bill, they could turn off your air, just like they could turn off your water or turn off your gas or turn off your electricity. So I was kind of, my normal cynical self. I think we're living in Charlton Heston's future. That's what I think.
Yeah, and that's exactly where James was headed too, saying that all the Charlton Heston films, that is the future.
Yeah, well, see, with that back then, the dystopian future, I kind of just saw that. I guess you could say is an aberration, atypical.
Yes,
I thought
or
that,
yeah, exactly. This is the thing that
yeah,
could happen if we don't get our act together.
yeah, we exactly we didn't get our act together. But again, for me, especially when my parents took me to the 1964 World's Fair. Okay, because you had these exhibits on how things were tomorrow going to be tomorrow. Walt Disney had exhibits, I think, uh, where they showed us on the moon, living on the moon, and also showed us living under the sea.
Mhm.
Okay, remember how back then we thought that you know it was going to be like a voice to the bottom of the sea or Sea Lab 2020. We would be able to communicate properly with dolphins,
Yeah.
all of that good stuff, all of that
But
marine
the
boy.
problem is that you may be able to do all that stuff, but it's like you control. It's all of that stuff is controlled by 8 people. Like you can do all that stuff, but you gotta Elon Musk controls the thing.
Yeah, well,
It's like you got a
I
car that runs on electricity, not fossil
yeah,
fuel, but who's
well, yeah, but see, back then we weren't thinking of in terms of an oligarchy. It was
Mhm.
all everybody was moving forward. Everybody was going to make progress. Again, like I said, 2001: A Space Odyssey. If you had the private sector, it would be Pan Am going to space stations, stuff like that. We didn't look at the oligarchy back then. When we thought or saw the oligarchy, it was usually Goldfinger, Doctor No,
Mhm.
Blofeld or whatever his name was in the Bond pictures. And we were brought up that those people were evil because they were trying to conquer the world,
Mhm.
you know. But somewhere along the line, because I mean, look at it. If you was to take Elon Musk and pit him back then in the '60s, he would be a perfect Bond villain. Perfect. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's
My
why that's why the way I look at it is my dystopian because it's a Charlton Heston film. It's Logan's Run. It's the future control
Mm-hmm.
few people.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then that's another thing. Like we
Against
talk about Logan's Run, that issue of ageism, right?
hmm
That we thought we were living in an area of ageism where you get older and then you are made less relevant. To some degree, that is true, but also to some degree, it's not, because now what is it? Those all those things they say, the 30, what's that? 50 is
The,
the or whatever.
the 50 is the new 30.
Right, those kind of things where
Yeah,
people are
yeah, that
taking better
stuff.
care of themselves and living longer and frankly, knowing more. So I think that we kind of moved away from that. I remember that whole era I call it the Beverly Hills 90210 era when everybody was moving away from becoming an adult and trying to remain children. You know that.
Check out the Twilight Zone's obsolete man. When you saw
Mhm.
that, did you think that would ever come to a future where someone could say that Hitler didn't go far enough and they would say it out loud
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
nothing
who
would
knew that would happen ever? We did some crazy stuff said in the obsolete man that Stalin, they didn't go far enough.
my
And I mean, with ageism, you know, again, talk about 50 is the new 30. I hate to say, but some of that is is just BS because the way seniors, I see some seniors, including me, treated right here in New York is just is just not right. I mean, it's ironic we talk about Logan's Run because I was going to work and it was, I guess, a bunch of millennials got on the train and they was just acting up. And I said, well, wow, maybe I didn't pay attention to the thing on the palm of my hand because in Logan's Run it's supposed to once you hit 30,
Mhm. Get that
the, the
$35.
countdown.
yeah,
Yeah.
because there was the
Yeah,
saying
but I
things
think the reality
be
is
over 30.
that now, sure, you have all these young people, but we have to figure the difference between the young people in our, I guess, our sci-fi future, our fantasy future, was that they always thought that there would be room for them. And so people had children and then they went to school, and now they're telling these young people there's no room for you. And that is a really messed up thing because we basically predicated a society on most of us being, dead by the time we were in our 70s,
Well,
and found out that that did not happen. In fact, there are people in their 70s who are having to continue to work in order to take care of their parents who are in their 90s.
if
Yep.
you look at all those Charlton Heston films, the power in
where you break it up.
if you look at those Charlton Heston films, you hear me?
Yes,
Now we
Yeah,
do.
In all those Charlton Heston's films, the power is centralized.
the power
where
what?
It's centralized.
Yeah, centralized government.
Yeah, I mean, it's people who got money, whatever. They're
It's a
calling the
hierarchy.
shots.
It's stratified societies.
They're calling the shots. Even in Planet of the Apes, there's certain
A stratified society.
apes calling the shots.
There was my favorite library display for 2025 had Parable of the Sower, Fahrenheit 451, Planet 88 tapes, 1984 George Animal Farm, and I can't remember. There were some other books and movies, and it says these were not meant as instruction manuals.
Yeah,
Right.
crazy.
Yeah. In the Twilight Zone where Adolf Hitler comes back. You remember that one?
Yeah, and he become
Was Dennis
didn't
the one with
wasn't
Dennis
it
Hopper in it? Or was
Yes.
that a different one?
Yes, that one.
Okay.
And
there was also a story where somebody wrote where Hitler came back and he figured out that being a reality television host was his best way to gain power. And I think that was written in 60 something. I
Yeah,
think.
and again, back then it was, we was in the midst of a Cold War
Hmm.
that we were so focused on going hard body on the communists and socialists that we weren't really paying attention that there was still a residue of fascism, aka national socialism.
Hmm.
Okay, it was still out there. Some were down in South America. You still have Franco. None for nothing. In during the Cold War, we certain countries we propped up pseudo neo fascist dictatorships.
Absolutely, in order to combat communism.
Yeah, I mean, look at Pinochet in Chile. You know, we we were propping him up. Somoza in Nicaragua. So we thought that fascism was in to use the Soviets word. We thought fascism was in the dustbin of history. But it was still lurking out there. It was still out there, and in the United States, it was disguised as white supremacists and populist, you know, movements, organizations, which flipped over in the 90s into remember the militias. Then it flipped
Yes,
over
yep,
again. It flipped over again into the Tea Party.
yep. But all they were was destabilization methods. And people who were masquerading as you say, populist movements.
Yeah, whatever. I mean, it's like once again, it's like Rod Sterling's the what is it the Maple Street.
Yeah,
Um,
Monsters on Maple Street.
yeah, it's like all we have to do. We don't have to use any guns or anything else. We just go to one
One
neighborhood,
to the other. You went to the other. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that's what
It,
happened. And we
every
saw it
neighborhood's got a Maple Street.
on this channel, saw it in real time.
Hmm.
Saw it in
yeah,
real, and we saw it really when Ronald Reagan was elected president, and we saw it again or more acutely when Obama was elected president. People showing up at rallies with AK-47s
And
yeah,
no one's
after
saying
all the
anything.
assassinations
And
that
no
happened.
one's saying anything because they hoped that it was something that would happen, right? They hoped for the assassination. They hoped for the injury.
But
You
nobody
know.
stopped them. I mean, the thing is, did we ever think that we would wind up where we are now? That people would so easily and get so comfortable with the fascism that's happening now? We all thought that we would
No,
rise up and fight it, right?
right. But this by degrees. It's done not, all at once. It's done by degrees. Just like in Handmaid's Tale, when they tell the women, okay, we're going to take over your bank accounts. And the main character's husband says, well, I'll, manage your money. You trust me to manage your money. It's like, that's not the point. The point is for the government to take the right for me to manage the money that I earned. That's the problem. Not that I don't trust you to manage my money, but no one should be touching my money. But,
Exactly.
he takes it like, well, it's not a big deal because I will handle our money,
Right.
uh, and by degrees, if you can accept that, that this thing has happened to someone, but it's okay,
Yeah,
it's not
we did it by
affecting.
death by a thousand. I mean, it was predicted, I think, in a lot of the dystopian movies. And although they may have been hyperbolic, the undercurrent was that we would adapt ourselves to becoming servile to a small group of people who told us what to do.
Yeah. And those who thought or think currently that just give me the opportunity and I will be in that little group of people that tells you what to do. And that's what makes them continue, you know, saying, vote for me, show up at the midterm elections and things of that ilk, because they are positioning themselves to be that small group that basically
Yeah.
tells you what to do.
I know it's not in the book. It's in the TV series Handmaid's Tale. When the woman who wrote most of the wrote most of the stuff that Gideon,
Serena Joy,
yeah, and then she realized, wait, this applies to me too.
yeah, and that lovely, yes, sister, this sister girl, it applies to you too. But at first, they don't think it applies to them.
Right.
They think that they're going to be standing right there with the males that they promoted and who are taking this particular school of thought and running with it. They thought they were going to have the opportunity to rule beside them, and that
Yeah.
was never the case.
I remember when that scene
Marjorie,
came on, my roommate asked me, she goes, "Is that it?" Because she hadn't read the book yet. I said, "That in the book?" I was like, "Honey, we left the book first season. This is
Yeah,
all straight from what would happen next if the book was an actual situation." And then when stuff started happening in real life, she went, "Oh my God, did Margaret Atwood know all of this?" I was like, "Yeah, because it's happened before.
yeah,
Only
this
she
is not
changed
new.
the races of the women involved."
Marjorie
Yeah.
Taylor Greene said that she could rule by Trump. She
Sorry, you going in and out. I heard you say Marjorie Taylor Greene, but then it went out.
thought that she could rule alongside Trump.
Yes, she did.
And so, just like the handmaid, you too.
Yeah,
Hmm.
you too. And no, it's you don't get to stand beside them and say, yes, we are all
And
together
she
in
got
this.
her little feelings hurt too along the way.
Yeah, because there was never any indication that there was a place for her, a role for her, except as an individual to steer other women in that direction toward this party that had no benefits for women in the long run.
Right. Just like the husband in The Handmaid's Tale.
Yeah,
You said the checking, it was okay for him to control the checking account. They got him too.
yeah, and eventually got him too. So, but it was not okay when you realize that it's going to go further than only women being injured. But you should be able to know that from the very beginning. You know, the hangman, the poem was at Ogden, you know, that, eventually the hangman's coming for you too. But there'll be no one left, to protest because you let them drag everyone else away. But I think even with Ogden's, tale of the hangman, I think it's very interesting. But it relies on the individual and their own self-interest, saying, "Oh, I better support other people, otherwise, when my time comes, no one will be here to support me." No, you support other people because not supporting other people is wrong. That the things these individuals are doing are wrong. That's why you fight against it. That's why you protest it. Not because you think eventually this might happen to me. No, you do it because it's wrong and it
Well,
shouldn't happen to anyone at any time.
let me ask you this. If do you think the feel good future stories do they rock us to sleep because we're just waiting for these horrible people to leave office and to die off and
Yeah,
need to
yeah,
do
to some extent, I believe it's true, and it
Wait, wait,
reminds
what,
me
what,
of
what,
But that's the problem. We're waiting instead
yeah,
of doing something about it.
what is
what
the
feel
show?
good stories are you talking about?
Like the Jetsons and,
Star
positive
Trek.
things. So, yeah, that we are waiting for something
we're
to
just
happen to
waiting
make
we're
it's
just
People were
not
waiting
really,
what is
because
the show? Oh, and I'm Being Human. And
yeah,
Being
yeah.
because
Human, the season
because
where they had the wolf, where the daughter who was the werewolf, she was supposed to be the individual who was going to break the chains of the vampires empire. But what happened was that, the guy who headed the vampires empire, he knew that the little girl was out there. He knew the young woman was out there. And what he did was allow her all the time to escape, but never let them get to the point where they were of any power. So that all the other people, the werewolves and mankind generally, was waiting for this savior, but they were always controlling the movements of the savior. So eventually, when the little girl got old enough, they realized that they could go back in time. What they do when they go back in time is say, the young woman who becomes like the general says, "You all need to make sure that I die." and I gotta die early? Is it because as long as I'm alive, everyone will think that they have hope of this savior rising up and they will not fight? So you got to get rid of me early. And that's what they end up doing.
Well, I think people believe in the basic humanity
Yes.
that people will figure it out. That people will be nice. They'll be like Star Trek. They'll be like all these other futuristic. But human nature, the history of human nature doesn't show that to be true.
Yeah, but see,
So why do we follow these?
well, you gotta look
Well,
at it
but
like this.
because I want to say this before you go on, because you get random to say something that's really profound. But a lot of this is based on false scarcity, artificial scarcity to make people believe that there's not enough and that some people got some stuff, which means you get no stuff or very little stuff. So this is the game that is being played with us over and over and over again. This false scarcity, and people are told, well, if the people come over here and the Haitians come over, or the Irish come over, or the Scandinavians come over, whoever it is that they point the finger to, when they come over here, they're going to take something from you when there is more than enough for everyone. They
Yeah,
just don't want people to believe it.
yeah, but I think it is nothing. It wasn't about back then lulling people into false security or something like that. What it was during the '60s was we had we were just recently separated from World War II.
Mhm.
Okay, and the fact you got to factor in the fact that the horrors of World War II. Okay, horrors like imperialism, fascism, Auschwitz, um, all of that was going on World War at during World War II. People were like, "It's no way that the world can turn back into like a dark place
Yeah.
where we're at now."
Yeah.
Okay, and you combine that with also the fact that that was the American century. It was a time of prosperity. Us as black folk, people of color, especially, we weren't going to go back to pre World War II
Mhm.
racism. Because remember, during World War II, you had with us black folk, we had a thing called double V: victory over the Axis powers and victory over racism.
Mhm.
Okay, and the fact that during the '60s we were to use the Jeffersons uh paraphrase, that was it, moving on up.
Mhm.
Okay, we were moving on up. We were getting into a lot of federal jobs, federal, state, and
Mhm.
city jobs. So it was that brightness that kept us going. And yes, you had dystopian things like the Twilight Zone and Sawyer Green and Planet of the Apes and the second version of The Last Man on Earth, which is
Mhm.
Omega Man, Colossus, the Forbin Project, like I said before. You had all that going on, but again, we had, my God, a TV show like Star Trek
Mhm.
where you had a black woman in the command structure. You had Mission Impossible with a black secret agent,
Yeah.
and then and even though not, I, then you had a show like Julia, which had
It's
a
just a
black
mom. Just a mom.
mom.
A nurse mom. That's
Yeah,
it.
yeah, but the fact that she's in a prestigious profession.
Mhm.
Okay, we will. I can remember. Here Comes the Bride. Remember that
Mhm.
show, Here Come the Brides?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was one episode where
Cicely
was
Tyson.
yeah,
Mhm.
her and also Scully Mitchell
Mhm.
Yeah,
was a sheriff.
but you said it yourself, James. A lot of this is a reaction to communism. The America wanted to show itself as being fair and equal. You know,
Right.
So they put black actors in certain roles and wrote them into certain roles to
Yes.
show that there was no alternative, really no real alternative to the so-called American way of life because we were diverse and everything else. And when that big boogeyman goes away,
Mm-hmm.
not doing it because it should be done, right? You're just doing it because you wanted to portray yourself as being a less abusive spouse, right? So you show the world how nice you are to your spouse, and then when the cops go away and you close the door, you just beat the crap out of your spouse because no one's looking.
Yeah, but
Hmm.
I still think that there was a small part of people. It was a segment of people in this country that were looking towards humanity.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yes, this country put on a happy face to show the rest of the world not its underbelly. Because listen, when another place we went to, Expo '67, I can actually remember my mother and father debating the American exhibit because my father was like, "Yeah, that's nice, they're showing America, blah blah blah." And my mother was like, "That's bullshit."
Mm.
You know what
So
I'm saying?
what about it was what was she speaking against?
I I think she was speaking against the fact that the American exhibit, I remember, was kind of like a circular globe type of thing,
Mm-hmm.
and they was trying to put on America's best face. You know, like they they were just trying to show positive things. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember one thing that she really got pissed off at is that they had something about Elizabeth Taylor in there. And she was like, well, she ain't even really in America. She's from England.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And to show you how much of a I wouldn't say a divide, show you how much of a disagreement that my mother father and father had. Cause see, my father was what I call a Truman Democrat,
Mm-hmm.
while my mother was more like a civil rights Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
When we went to the Russian pavilion, the Russians had this big um exhibit diorama of when they're gonna land on the moon.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember my mom was like, "Oh, okay," and my father was like, "That's bullshit." You know what I'm saying? So, and then I think I told you guys before, our parents tried to protect us. They tried to protect us back then
Mm-hmm.
because they knew. I guess they kind of knew that the future wasn't guaranteed. It was no guarantee that we would be the Jetsons or Star Trek or anything like that. So they tried to protect us
Mm-hmm.
as much as they could. And again with the humanity, they were that segment of the country that did have that hope.
Yes, but they also flavored it with a little cynicism
Right,
so that you were not, surprised if something went left and you weren't ready for it.
right, right, exactly. They listen, up in their cabinet, the spice rack, they had the same cynical spice that Otto uses every morning to season his eggs.
Yes, yes, there you go.
So
Actually,
you mean
actually, I
so
use
you
it as a
mean
drink.
none?
I use
Yeah,
it as a
no,
drink.
oh,
I
he
use it
saw
as a
his
drink.
cynicism.
I use it as a drink. But do you remember hearing like let's go to America because the streets are paved with gold?
Oh
Paved
yeah,
in
Yeah,
gold,
yeah.
yes.
When was the last time you heard someone say that?
I think a
Mm.
lot of people were really fooled by that. Especially, I think a lot of people
Yeah.
that came over from the African continent, they had this concept. They come over here thinking, oh well, African Americans, they came over here and they didn't do jackety jack. But of course, if you live in a country on the continent where everyone looks like you, and that you and your family, were able to be in your stratified society, the ones who got education had money, then you come over to the United States and you are trying to do compete with African American people who are not wealthy, who a lot of them come from very poor families, and then want to say how wonderful you are, not realizing that these people come from backgrounds that aren't just economically, uh, I guess, I don't want to say poor, but I guess economically oppressed, right? That also have cultural oppression on top of it. So it's like you're fighting, on two fronts. But you come here, you got your little monies, and of course the Anglos, they don't have a problem with you generally because you don't remind them of the history of slavery. You come here and say, well, we don't know anything about that. That didn't happen to us. So they don't have to be guilty in front of them because they don't have that history. And after, I guess, I don't know, a generation or two, when you lose the accent, then they just see you as another
Mhm.
black person. And all of a sudden,
Mhm.
everything's a little different now, isn't it? Because you are not being treated as if you are, someone exotic. You're treated the same way as African Americans are being treated. And that's the thing I think many people are getting now, except right now, what a lot of people are understanding is that African Americans are not immigrants,
Well,
and that
nobody, no, no
the
one,
rules are not the same for immigrants as they are for us.
well, no one on this panel believed that in America the streets were paved with gold. But people,
It was the American dream that you
yeah,
could
that was.
succeed if you just worked a little bit hard. You could succeed.
Mhm.
Don't
And
blame
Mhm.
what
some.
was the line in Watchmen? How come whatever happened to the American dream? It's like we're
Yeah,
living it.
yeah,
This is
that's
the American dream.
yeah.
People being tortured and hard times.
Brutalized, yeah, this is it.
Yeah,
This is the American dream.
that's what I love when the comedian said that. But I also think that that was the false advertisement with just about everybody that came here.
Mhm.
Just about everybody. It's just that the advertisement kind of varied because see, America has this thing where what I think I told you guys, the flavor of the month or the flavor of the decade. And when I
Yes.
say the flavor of the decade, I mean certain groups that come to the United States when they first get here, the powers that be act like they're the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Just sliced bread, you know it.
Okay,
Getting
but
every opportunity, all the
right,
money. Oh my goodness.
right,
You are just the Dixie darlings, and
yeah,
they believe
Mhm.
it. And they
and
Ask
believe
the
it.
South Africans who came here.
oh
Mhm.
And
yeah,
we never
I
get
I
to
I
them
read a
again.
I read a hilarious thing in the New York Times where this South African came came on his own
Mhm.
Yep.
to the United States, and the next thing you know, now he's sitting in the detention
Yes,
center
he is.
Why is he in a detention center?
because he thought that he could just come over here and not just fast track bypass that supposed program that Trump and them put out where they were telling South Africans to come over here and they set them up, which come to find out even they are not happy because
That's what I'm about to say. I heard about them.
yeah.
This.
So
Mhm.
this one he came, he's like, oh well, I'll just show up. All I gotta do is step on the field and I win the game.
Mhm.
And they they snatched him up
Mhm.
and they put I think I could be wrong, but I think the detention center he's in might even be in Florida somewhere.
Wow.
But now
Yeah,
he has to
I
get
can't
a
blame that.
lawyer.
I can't
He has
blame
to
that
get a
dude.
lawyer, huh?
I can't blame that dude because looking at what those people said, I would believe that crap too.
Yeah,
Uh,
but this goes back to what I
mhm.
say that ever since this country became a country, it's been a false advertisement because with the English, okay, they some of them came over, but some of them found out that they weren't the right Englishmen, so they ended up being indentured servants.
Mhm.
Okay, you had the Irish come, and the Irish for almost a century until they assimilated were considered subhuman. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
they would hemmed up in New York City. It was hemmed up in the 5 points, and the Americans that were already here despised them. Okay, with the same thing with the Spanish. You know, um,
Well, that's what I
just
mean.
about
I mean,
every
y'all
huh?
could call it cynicism if you want, but Charlton Heston movies, you had Paula Kelly in one, I think Omega Man,
Rosalind Cash was in a Mega Man, I think.
oh, Rosalind Cash. But it's like
Paula Kelly was in um
Soylent
oh
Green.
Soylent Green, yeah.
Soylent Green. So
Mhm.
black and white, everyone in was treated like unless you were part of the right.
The hierarchy. You are treated like
You're
garbage.
treated like trash, black, white, or otherwise.
Yeah.
Going back to the Street of Gold, there's two origins of the phrase. The first one was conquistador, where the streets were literally paved in gold.
It's El
And
Dorado legend.
when they asked the natives where did all the gold come from, they said the black people brought it. And they interpret. I went to a First Americans symposium on archaeology, and I was surprised how deeply honest and truthful these folks were being. And they said that the conquistadors didn't believe that they were literal when they said the black people brought it, so they thought that was the term for their gods. And then recently, somebody's tested some of the gold and found that it matches the gold in Africa.
Hmm.
So literally, the black people brought over the gold,
Yeah.
And the
and
black
We're
then
people
the
digging it up. They brought it
street
here.
also
right,
brought over also
and
brought
then
over
the
the blacks.
other instance of where that phrase came from was America hadn't yet been polluted from the industrial age and didn't have all the people living out on the streets. So when the sun shined on the streets, they literally looked like they were paved with gold. It was the sunlight reflecting off
Hmm.
of the streets.
Cool.
Off the urine.
Um, yeah, well,
Quiet.
Urine
Okay,
that was
of New York
later.
City.
That was
that
later.
that had to be a lot
But
of
yeah,
sun.
it wasn't compared
That
to dingy dirt and grimy London and
Mm.
all of those other
I
industrial
guess you're.
cities.
I guess you're right. That it would look
it,
very
it,
different
it
around the
had to
state.
be a strong sunlight to get through horse manure too.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
Well,
guess.
that's yeah.
Yeah.
they never been to 42nd Street,
Well,
obviously.
people cleaned up after their horses back then. They stopped doing that after like 18, was it 18 something? And they just
But
left it. When they started figuring out they could hire people to do it,
I could,
before then you had to clean up after your horse.
I'm sure James can attest to 42nd Street in 1978.
Wait a minute, you're breaking up.
42nd Street in 1978.
Oh well, yeah,
The street
yeah.
was
That
paved
was
with gold.
Mm.
yeah. You saw very little gold, and I don't know about people cleaning up. At least in New York City in the 19th century, I don't know anything about people cleaning up after their own horse. They usually left the shit,
Hmm.
okay, in the
Yeah, but
street,
People
not
and
during
collect that. Wouldn't people
not during
collect it for
colonial
money?
times. Not during colonial times because that would have offended their Puritan sensibilities.
yeah, but that
Yeah.
I mean, how many? It wasn't that many people in New, as far as
Yeah,
I
but
know,
you
in
could
New York.
pay somebody to clean it up. You
But I
didn't have
think
to
Yeah,
clean
people
it up.
but
actually
at
collected that stuff
well, you know
in order
what?
to
With
use it
colonial
for
times, maybe, but I know
manure
in
for
the
fertilizer.
1800s, that's why we have trolley cars
Mm-hmm.
in New York City because the manure was such a health hazard that they're like, we got to come up with another way of transportation.
Hmm.
Yep.
You know,
How many times did I come home dog shit on my shoes?
Nastified.
How many times? And so the thing is that even during those times, you had the Moscow or the Hudson, that movie with Robin
Hmm.
Williams in it. Yakov Smirnoff guy.
Hmm.
America, what a great country. You know,
yeah. Well, that's the like I said,
Propaganda.
it's the false advertisement that's been going on since this country began.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even they talk about, well,
They came
uh,
over looking for the fountain of youth in Florida. Come
Mm-hmm.
on, how much false advertisement can you get?
yeah, yeah, that
Yeah, and that's what we
religious
missed. We missed
religious freedom.
Mm-hmm.
that's what we missed the
Okay,
dystopian thing.
Mm-hmm.
Missed it, I think, because we really thought that we were all humanists. Everyone on this panel is a humanist, right? Do we think
Mm-hmm.
better angels thing? But the trajectory of history, if you look at history, we don't see better angels anywhere. And
That's the problem. We can look at history and figure out how to learn from it. Most people look at history and say, "Oh, we can do that again because look how great they were," not seeing the downfall.
well, the hope that our trajectory is pointing upward.
Yeah.
That's the
Mhm.
problem.
well,
Yeah, we all thought that
uh,
that was the point.
yeah,
The trajectory should be to move upward. But some of
yeah,
these people think they don't mind the moving upward, just not for everyone. You
and
know, like, what
and
is it? The animal farm? All
yeah,
animals are equal. Some animals are more equal than others.
and we also
Mhm.
have to factor in. We also have to factor in the future itself. It's time.
Hmm.
Okay, as time marched on. Okay, we went from boomers to to Generation X, Generation Y, millennials. Some of that humanness for the better good, progress. As by the time we got to Generation Z, it's it had faded, and it. I hate to say it, but part of it is also social media and the internet. Because now you get people that want to change the narrative. They've changed the narrative.
And there's
I
so
yeah,
much
I'm
misinformation and disinformation, and it takes so long to undo it. Because once somebody hears a lie, then you have to be working double time in order to undo that lie because they will believe the lie instead of reserving their opinion, you know.
because they haven't been taught critical thinking. We don't teach critical thinking in school anymore, which I actually thought would have been a mandatory talking about what is my vision of the future. I actually thought that that would have been integrated into our education system as a given.
Mhm.
But it's not. Now they just want spit it back out.
Well, I think that critical thinking may be a false god. I'm not sure that
You're breaking
that's
up
going to say.
again.
Yeah, you're breaking up a little bit.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
I think that critical thinking is a false god.
In what way?
I don't think that it's going to save you. I don't think that that is going to save you. I think that I may be wrong. I think truth. If we could just get the truth,
Mhm. Just the
maybe.
truth.
But if you got the truth, you have to be critical thinking enough to going, hey, wait,
But I
this
think,
looks
yeah,
more like
but if
this rings
but
more true. I need to go
yeah,
back and
but
re-examine what I
when
was
they were
taught.
required, if they were required to give you the truth and not these false statements and like you have that the what do you call that orange menace, up there saying just whatever pops out of his head, at whatever time he says whatever the hell it is that comes into his mind, false, true, whatever, just whatever comes to the front of his mouth is what he says. And no truth to it, no veracity, no nothing. But these people will believe it because somebody said it. They won't ask, well, why do you say that? What proof is there? No one asks for proof because we grow up believing who would lie, right? Most of us grow up believing that people aren't just going to lie for no reason. But we have to understand these people lie and they're lying for a reason.
The
Yeah,
media reports it though, and
Hmm.
the media did not report people lying.
Yeah, in the old days, they did not. In fact, if somebody said something, they would have said, for instance, the president's opinion was. They would not report it as if it was fact. They would say an opinion that no he had,
For
and now they
instance,
report everything is if it's a fact.
Okay,
Right?
I have a I have a
Mhm.
question. I have a question. If you say critical thinking is a false god, then what do we do?
Get the truth. I found out you may be a version of critical thinking, but a lot of the stuff that I was taught in school, college, my professional school wasn't the truth.
And
But
But
how
no,
did
how
you
no matter how good
how
but
did
you
you
isn't
determine it?
critical
yeah,
How
but no
did you
isn't
matter
determine it wasn't the truth?
yeah, isn't critical thinking a search or a probe into what the truth is?
If you're given it's the Elijah Muhammad glass, glass of water theory. If you're given a two glasses of water, one clean, one dirty, which one would you choose? If you're just given dirty water, you don't have to not have critical thinking. That's your only option.
he has to drink the dirty water. And even if you're trying to critically think, if everything you're given is half truths and falsities, then you're going to base your decisions on things that are not true.
But wasn't that the hope of 1984 when they no, yeah, 1984 when he realized, wait, I'm not being told the whole story, and he went out and went in search of the truth.
I
That's just,
don't know.
I just
I
thought
thought
Mr.
I don't know. I thought 1984 ended more cynically, but maybe I have to reread it. But I thought it was a much more cynical ending.
I mean, for
Wasn't
instance,
it when yeah, Winston went out when he real something I can't remember what it was that woke him up, but he said, "Wait, something's not ringing true," and he went and he's in search of what was not ringing true.
Mhm.
no,
So
it's
that
like you said, like when the media said that this president was going to run Venezuela. Why would you report that?
That he's going to do what? Run.
Venezuela.
It's like, okay, y'all.
That's not
That's
true.
not how things work. So just because you go out and you kidnap the leader of a country does not mean that now you run their country. What it means is that you
Why
kidnap the
report
leader of
that?
their country.
because
They have
his
other people now who run their country.
because he has the playbook that when Hitler invaded Poland, he took over the running of Poland and put all the concentration camps there.
But they went and invaded Poland. They did not just
Exactly. That's
they
the
did not
next
but they
that's
did
the
not
next step, and so
kidnap.
that we do not go look for these Epstein files.
Well,
That
yeah, but
there's the
also
military still there. That it's just a matter of time.
I don't think it is. I think it's a very different situation because if China and Russia are getting any oil at all from Venezuela, the
Well,
reality is they're not just going to say, okay, you can come in and do whatever the hell you want to do.
yeah, the
They're
problem
going to say you
is
better get the F
Or
up out of here.
But
the
if it's
problem.
part
Listen,
of
the problem
Russia's
is this.
thing, using America to let America use all their troops, go in, take care of this, and then when they're decimated, we'll come in and pick up the let them lead the trail so that we don't
I
have to
doubt
kill
it.
so many people.
I
When they
doubt
tell
it. They
you,
have
when
their
they
own
tell
problem in
you,
the Ukraine, and when
they
they're
tell you a,
trying to get, go ahead. I'm sorry.
when they tell you a set of lies, and then you try to decide which one is true.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Critical
Like we're
thinking
sitting here listening to their
doesn't help
false
you.
information, trying to figure out how much, like, how much of their lies is truth.
Yeah,
I mean, they say we went in, we got this person, we dragged them out. I mean, hell, they could have just said, "Hey, come on over here. We're gonna go to your house. We set up some flashbangs and stuff." And but people may not have even been there, and all of it could be just even with those people be a mega hoax that they expect the United States to go in and put down their resistance so they can come back and be dictators like they are trying to do all over the world. They try to basically put in these dictatorships so that they all sit and talk to each other and get rid of the governments that are supposed to be supporting the people.
by the way, can y'all hear me still?
Yes, sir.
The reason that Maduro was in Brooklyn is because the Manhattan Detention Center was closed after Epstein hanged himself.
Hmm.
Now everyone goes to Brooklyn Detention Center, and then they're transferred to the Southern District of New York, the SDNY, but they're housed in the Eastern District of New York, which is in Brooklyn.
Okay, so why are you telling me this now? You could have texted me during the week. You're so late. You're early.
No, I'm lazy. I'm lazy. That's what.
They keep them nearby so that if they need a photo op, they can grab them easily.
If he's in the
No, we're
Eastern
just
District,
talking about the issue is from New York, the perspective of New Yorkers, where it is you're supposed to end up when you get to New York and you're going to these particular jails. This
Somewhere
southern
where
district.
you're on a 3 island tour, like the Howells and Ginger, where they have new outfits for every appearance.
Okay, and with me, I just remember they put me in the mobile booking van.
What is
Whoops, did I say something?
this? What is this?
I know what he's talking about, and I haven't been in New York that long. There's a mobile van that goes around, and that's
yeah,
where a lot of the booking stuff happens.
yeah.
I know what he's talking about.
So
This is
they
the
take you, but then what happens is like, do they take you like in a paddy wagon, or they say, "Hey, show up later"?
It's the
How
new
they do
version of a paddy wagon. They just take you. They do all the processing in the thing, and then take you wherever there's space.
Yeah,
Okay.
with me, they just gave me a ticket and told me to get out. After they fingerprinted me
Yeah,
and took
yeah.
my.
That's what I was wondering. Just come in and do the booking, and then tell you just show up some other place or
It's
no. Tell you to do
the central booking. You go to
Yeah.
central booking. But in this case, I just wanted to say that because we said it on last show. What was Maduro doing in Brooklyn, and that's why he was in Brooklyn.
Okay, but thank you for letting us know, New
Yeah,
Yorkers.
thank you very much. Yes.
You're welcome. And by the way, critical thinking doesn't help you if people are giving you false things. Like I'm taking over Venezuela, and then we're debating over whether or not this moron is taking over Venezuela or whether he has some plan to do X, Y, Z. We
So
can't think. We're
so you're
debating
you're
nonsense.
so you're telling me that you can't use critical thinking to find out on your own what's going on?
I think you can work on it, but the problem is that if we're proceeding from a set of facts that are actually false, how much time do we waste? And someone says, "Hey, I'm going to start taking over Venezuela because we kidnapped their leader." And people, "Oh my gosh, you're going to go take over Venezuela." So that's not how that happens. You don't
And
get their leader and then now you own it. It's like somebody saying, "I stole your car and now I own it." No,
and,
you're
and I
just a
mean
criminal.
listen, the polygraph machine, the lie detector that I have broke a long time ago with Trump.
Yeah.
Okay, used to lie.
Yeah.
It doesn't
Yeah, but
even do
the
that
only
no more.
problem is that his lies weren't reported as New York Times headlines in the past, and now they
Yeah.
are. So people take it as truth, and then they debate it. Can he do
No, well,
that?
I wouldn't say people take it as truth. I think
In the past, they did because they were just reporting it without saying that it was false.
yeah, I think now people don't take anything, whether it's a headline, a sound bite,
People are
whatever.
starting to realize that New Yorkers had already knew and already, but there wasn't enough of us to.
Hmm.
Thank
They
you,
weren't paying attention to the alarm when we sounded it off.
thank you,
I had a friend
thank.
that did that. How come everybody ever said that? And I was like, because you never talked to you never talked to somebody from New York. Well, how was I supposed to find somebody from New York? And I raised my hand.
Standing right
Me,
here.
me, me and my
I've
sister
been
had this.
saying it from the very beginning.
Yep, we had this conversation last night. I said there should be a law enacted where that bars anybody, and I hate to say this about New York City, there should be a law that bars or prohibits anybody that comes from New York from running for president. I don't care if
No, mine
Democrat,
was
Republican, I don't care. Just no.
mine was anybody who's running for president needs to have people in their past constituency talk speak positive of them, and if over 75% of the people in that constituency, then we could consider it.
Yeah.
Look, I think no one should be able to run for president unless they've had a psychiatric exam.
Yeah, the
Because if you are,
educational.
yeah, you should not be allowed to run for
I mean,
president if you're crazy.
because Theodore Roosevelt, Franklin
And Franklin
Roosevelt.
and Franklin Roosevelt.
I mean, they're New Yorkers. Mario Cuomo. I would have voted for him if he ever declared to be president.
Yeah, but that's PT. That's pre-Trump.
But I think these individuals,
Okay.
everybody, they talk about Trump having these tests given
Competency test.
every 3 months,
They're
and
not competency tests. They're cognitive.
the cognitive,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, he
They're
calls them
diagnostic.
competency. Yeah.
No, this is
I
cognitive,
know.
and
You
so
and
he
I
needs
know
to have
that.
those.
Well,
But I
once
think
again,
everybody who runs for president should have them.
well, the
And
thing
in
is
fact, you should
that
not be able to run for president unless you have had like a history of them.
right. The cognitive test, and the fact is, critical thinking doesn't help you when this guy's lying and
Mhm.
saying that it's something else, and people and reporters are afraid to question him about it because he rags on them when they ask him a question, especially if you're a woman especially if you're a woman of color.
Mhm.
But wasn't
And,
all of this, going back to our topic, wasn't all of these and are all the science fiction books we read?
Charlton
Not all of them,
Heston.
but not all of them, but
Parable of
some.
the Sower, yeah.
Not all of them, but some. Yeah,
and,
present
and,
this type of scenario.
and what? Getting back to the subject, I thought that when the type of president Jimmy Carter was, that's the type of president I thought that we were gonna have
Yeah.
moving forward.
Yeah.
Yep.
Me too.
That's the type of president that we
Yeah.
will in the future. That's the
Right.
type of president that we were gonna have.
A lot of the people I went to because we were all little bits when he was running, and a lot of people was like, Carter was right when he was president. No, duh.
But
I
Even
agree.
as little
if
kids, we
somebody
could
comes to
tell.
you, but if someone comes to you and tells you that you're going to have all the things that you ever wanted, and it's all going to be for free because they're going to take it from other people that you know and find contemptible, you want to believe that.
Yeah, that started with Ronald Reagan.
Yep.
Remember the welfare queen and all these people
Yeah.
getting stuff they don't deserve. They
Yeah.
take it
Just
from you.
nastiness.
Yeah, that
Lies.
started in the '80s, and here we are, 46 years later, and like you said, Penelope, it's a slow roll, a slow
Slow
roll.
march. It's a slow march to this stuff. It's not done overnight. And you say boiling the frog. How do you boil a frog? You put him in the cold water and turn up the heat little by little.
In fact, like we're saying, it's a slow march. All of this really started back in 1964 because when Barry Goldwater ran as an ultra conservative, right?
Hmm.
That started the shift that started the shift in the Republican Party
But
because
James,
no, well, wait, let me finish. You started to get traction from Barry Goldwater. Then you start to get the Dixiecrats,
Hmm.
okay, defecting from the Democratic Party and becoming Republican. Then during the 60s, you started the rise of the Western Republicans like Richard Nixon, and you started to see the decline of the Eastern establishment Republicans like
Rockefellers.
Rockefellers, Lowell Weicker,
Hmm.
um, what's her name from New Jersey, Millicent Fenwick,
The Roosevelts.
the Roosevelt wing. Okay, because I actually, in fact, the Roosevelts did it to themselves. Because I can remember 1980 when I was working for the census in Harlem. They had a rally for Ronald Reagan, and guess who was at the rally? FDR Jr.
Hmm.
Okay, so then you had Reagan. Reagan wasn't enough. red meat for these people, and gosh darn it, they took a step back because actually George Bush Sr. was an Eastern establishment
Mhm.
Republican masquerading as a Western Republican.
Mhm.
Well, the
Okay.
thing is that when you go to Goldwater, he lost in a landslide against LBJ.
Yeah, he lost in a landslide, but he started a fire within the Republican Party. And it
But
got to the
Nixon,
point it got to the point where that's when Nixon saw that he could win if he did the Southern strategy.
Mhm.
right, right,
Okay. And
like this
also
guy, the guy that died of brain cancer said, you don't have to say N word, N word, N word. You say taxation, taxation,
yeah.
taxation.
And if not that, Willie Horton.
And
Mhm.
Willie Horton,
Yep.
right?
Yeah. So it's been
Eastern
a
style.
slow, like you said, it's been a slow crawl, a slow
Mhm.
slide to where we're at now. Because after Bush, remember Gingrich and them
Oh my lord, yeah.
with
That's
with
horrible.
Contract for America. A lot of people forget that Joe Scarborough, um, Morning Joe, he was part of that rebel group.
Yep.
Okay, and then it pushed to remember the Tea Party and
Oh,
Glenn Beck,
that man.
and
Right.
you
Glenn
know,
Beck's still doing his crap, but it's know what it is? It's a 46, or if you believe it goes back to Goldwater, then what is it, like 50 some plus years worth of
Mhm.
50-year long Charlton Heston movie. It's a
and
slow
even
march.
and even Charlton Heston, because remember in his
Yeah.
later
Right.
And what
years,
a political
Exactly.
opportunist he
Yeah.
was.
yeah,
What a political opportunist he
What's
was.
right? So what's the difference between a liberal and a Republican? Right?
Time.
No, a liberal becomes
Time.
a
That's all.
Republican after they get mugged.
Yeah.
well, actually, the saying is a liberal is a conservative that's been arrested, and a conservative is a liberal that's been robbed.
There you go. There you go.
And so, these things that happen to us as people of color, we don't change our political positions because of it.
So the thing
It's like
happens. Yeah, but they
it's something.
do.
It's like being, Charlton Heston can say that I marched with Dr. K, and he literally did.
Yeah.
Mhm.
He literally did. But like something happens to him, some black person does something. Oh hell no! Look how
Mhm.
much I did for you. I'm a
Mhm.
Republican now.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of that has to do with age too, because you'll get some people like Charleston Heston that as they get older, they feel that those that are coming after them are a threat, whether
Mhm.
they're black or white. So their views become more conservative. While you'll get somebody like, I'm not saying that he's a Bolshevik, but you get somebody like Mitt Romney, who's actually he's one of the very few establishment Republicans that will go out there and speak truth to power about Trump. So sometimes is I mean, look at what's it, Boehner, the
Mhm.
crybaby.
Mhm.
Yeah, he was staunch Republican, but now he's for like legalizing marijuana.
Because he's all in
Damn.
that industry now. He's making the
Yeah,
big bucks in that
yeah,
industry.
yeah.
They
So
don't have any. They have no morals, no standards
Can someone
whatsoever.
can someone pay you to be in the Republican Party as it exists today? Now, I'm not talking about the old school Republican Party, but is there money that someone could pay you?
no,
No. Okay.
no,
No.
no. The
No.
Republican Party is dead to me.
As it
They're,
as
they're,
it exists today. I mean, there's a window, right, when Colin Powell was thinking about running, or
right.
even Mitt Romney,
Yeah.
or other people. You could say, well, I like his fiscal policy or something.
Yeah. But these people they are not anything. They're just
I
hooligans.
don't. I don't. when I say the Republican Party is dead to me, the Republican Party, the party of Lincoln, the Grand Old Party,
Hmm.
is dead.
Yeah, that doesn't exist anymore.
It doesn't exist anymore. It's just these assorted MAGA nuts.
Absolutely.
Okay, they're assortment of fascists, white supremacists, Christian nationalists, nihilists.
Well, I know we're getting off topic, but the
But it's not really off topic. 'Cause the
Oh,
point is, dystopian society. Is
Yeah,
this the future
well, I think
that
the future.
we?
I think the future predicted it. And I think that a lot of movies that Mike Charlton Heston movies predicted a lot of this stuff, and I think that you have people who are Republican, and they're that way because of gerrymandering, and it's like instead of the voters picking their candidates or their representatives are picking their voters.
You're coming in and out from me. I don't know if everybody else can hear you, Otto, but you're coming in and out
yeah,
from
you're
me.
coming in and out.
Okay, yeah, okay. What part of it y'all didn't hear? So instead of the voters picking their representatives,
Hmm.
representatives are picking their voters.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Exactly. That's very well
gerrymandering
said.
stuff like
Very
right.
well said. Very well said.
And so, in that sense, that's where you get extremism on both. And I hate both side stuff, but that is a both side argument. You know,
Yeah.
people picking their voters, Democratic
well,
and Republican.
no, you're absolutely right because here in New York City, in my part of town, the Upper East Side, they did some I guess gerrymandering, and it's a weird map because the councilman and assembly person that represents my part of town, Yorkville, it actually stretches into the Bronx.
Hmm.
It's a weird configuration, and then you got some people that, good Lord, just stop running enough already. Thank you for your service. That's like here in my part of town, Jerry Nadler. Jerry, stop.
He did stop. He retired.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. And the thing about it, the last time he ran, he did, oh God, I forget her name. Uh he did her dirty because he just came
Hmm.
into this part of town and pushed her to the side. And no offense to her, she had the spot for like Congress for like 1,000 years because she came to my door with one of her aides, and the aide, a black woman, she said, "Oh well, will you support such and such?" I forget the woman's name for Congress. I'm like, yeah, I guess, yeah. And it's an old lady.
Uh-huh.
It's the whole old lady standing next to her. And I'm like, yes, I will. So I closed the door. I said, wait a minute. That was her.
But she didn't say anything?
No, she was stooped over. Okay. She looked like Nancy Pelosi's sister.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, my God,
You're like 90
mighty.
years old, and you have a
Yeah.
black wig on.
Yeah,
She,
they got to stop that
But
nonsense.
that's Democrats give you the impression that they're against gerrymandering. They're not. They aren't. They aren't really.
No, they just want it to work for them.
Yeah, and it does work for them. It does.
Yeah, but that's the
so,
thing. They want it to work for them.
so how do we get to the future we want?
Well,
Like one of those. It's like one of those posters, one of those 3D things from what's the dude in London that does the Banksy? It's like a Banksy graffiti. Uh, that
hmm,
basically truth. Can we have that? Is there any way
no,
that we can get that?
no.
just
If
just a
you,
teensy bit of it. Can we just get a little of it?
now, if you ask me, um, that what I saw and what I hoped for back in the '60s,
Hmm.
that's Paradise Lost.
Really? You think
Yeah,
it's gone
it's
forever?
Paradise Lost because and the the reason why it's Paradise Lost is not because of this crazy man in the White House or Nancy Pelosi or fascists or Bolsheviks. It's
Mhm.
the internet because now you you have access. You have your own echo chambers.
Yeah, true, true,
You
true.
nobody is really. Everybody's talking past each other.
Yeah, and you
Okay,
only want to listen to those that agree with you.
And make
You
you feel
know?
right.
comfortable. And make you feel
Yes,
comfortable. If you
right.
look at YouTube right now, AI is creating so much content, so much
Yeah.
content, and it's a lot of it is false and just wrong.
Hmm.
For instance, we mentioned last week the Richard Williams thing.
Yeah, that is not Richard
It's
Williams that you're
bad.
talking about. You know?
It is bad, y'all. I mean, AI is creating so. It used to be on YouTube. You had content creators, and it took them time to do
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
And
Hmm.
now AI can spit this stuff out like how many a minute?
yeah, yeah. Just
Yeah. I mean,
and it's like you put the thing, but a person
hmm
generally, I guess, starts the ball rolling, and then their AI just takes over, and
eh,
they don't care that it's not true that some because you have these courses and stuff that tell you how to create
hmm
your AI stuff and get it out there without saying that anybody's responsible for it. You know.
Yeah, the
yeah.
future is now, and we're in trouble with AI. I mean, you do a Google search, and before you get to like the real websites and real,
Yeah, man. How
before you
much
get to
sponsored?
Wikipedia, before you get to Wikipedia, AI gives you
Yeah,
the answer.
yeah. Like even now, it's like if I did a search, and I think I need to get one of my kids to come help me figure out how to do it. But when I do a search, there are all these responses to my search that are all sponsorship things
Yeah,
that I never
yeah.
asked for.
AI is
Never
going to
asked
do
for.
that, and Wikipedia is going to be gone.
Hmm.
Well, Wikipedia has been in trouble for a while because they haven't been able to get the money like they're supposed to fund it. So
Yeah. I mean,
they
I
might.
I give money to Wikipedia all the time.
It's going
Yeah,
to
I
be
do too.
gone. The Corporation for Public Broadcasting,
Yeah, whatever it is.
one by one.
Mhm.
Just like the Rod Serling
Mhm.
fiction. One by one. We don't have to use any guns or anything like that. One by one.
Well, see, that's why I personally I decided, and I've already put in. I've already started it. That a lot of like media places that need funding, I am going to fund them with what little money I have. I mean, in the last couple of weeks, I've become a member of the Schomburg.
Mhm.
Okay, I've given money to QXR, WBGO, the jazz station, WBAI, and I plan to when I plan to give money to a lot of other organizations too
Well, I agree with
because
that. I agree, but the problem is that I also pay taxes, and
And
I
you're
don't
taking
want
our
like.
tax money and using it for their purposes.
Why do I have to pay twice? Why is it that my tax money accumulated with everybody else paying tax money is used to fund some maniac's plan for Venezuela?
well,
That we didn't ask for that.
I didn't ask for it, but that's what we say. You didn't ask
It's not
for
what
it.
you asked
yeah,
for, but it's what you get. There
yeah.
you go.
Well, for better or worse, that's what I've been doing
It's
because
We
great.
don't have a,
Do it.
we don't have a choice, this is our money that this guy's using.
yeah, Exactly.
How do
And
you
I want to hear from my Congress people, why are you allowing him to spend our money on shit we didn't ask for?
yeah. It's like we didn't. It's like we didn't ask for our money to be used that way. Is it a taxation of that representation? Because we're not getting any
Yeah,
representation. I don't want my money
that is
going.
not what we asked for.
Well, again, this is something we didn't see coming in the future. You
Yep.
know, we didn't see this coming in. Back in the day, we thought that our money, our tax money, or at
Yeah.
least our parents' tax money, was going for the greater good.
Yeah. And we had
Okay.
no idea that anybody could just walk in and start doing shit. And I'll tell you that, from my perspective, again, it's like, great, you have a lot of our Democratic congressmen and people, and their position is they don't want to stop him because they're just waiting for their turn, you
Right.
know? That's all it is. They
I
just
mean,
want
at
to, oh, if
least
he's doing it, we're going to wait our turn. We're going to do it too, just differently. No, nobody should be doing it.
I mean the
It needs
CIA
to stop
used crack.
now.
The CIA used crack to fund a secret war. Okay, this guy is this guy is using our money straight up.
I mean, they poisoned people in the United States so that they could pay for a secret war.
Secret
They
war.
poison you.
Well, I got news for y'all. The United States has been doing that since day one. How do you think the Astor family here in New York got so rich? Not just because they were selling the the hides off of beavers.
Hmm.
Okay, they were part of funding the opium trade in China
Yeah,
along
I
with
can believe
England.
it. I believe it.
Okay, even I hate to say this, but even our own people did us dirty. Because how you think country boy Frank Lucas
Yep.
got so
They,
rich in Harlem? He
yep.
had
They
the
their
the
money on the
heroin
backs of our
coming
people.
in. He had the heroin coming in from Vietnam in the caskets of dead soldiers.
Yeah.
Only he didn't go to that Ali Frazier fight. He
Yeah.
Yep. His stupidity, ignorance, and narcissism was his
wife told him
downfall.
to wear a fur coat.
Yeah.
Yep. There you go.
So what we and I think really we had two choices back then. We wanted the society for humanity, where everything was done for the greater good, and we wanted Admiral Nelson in charge of the
Yeah.
Sea View in 1972, in the future, 82,
Mhm.
and then we had the other choice was the dystopian. Because remember, a lot of science fiction are cautionary tales,
Yeah.
Absolutely.
and we thought that, we were warned about Colossus, the Forbin Project, and we don't want to go down that way, or we don't want to be like Charleston Heston, hemmed up in an apartment.
So you're Charlton Heston. You remember when Obama was running for office and he had those great posters and it looked like it was such a bright future?
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Yeah,
Got tricked again.
Yeah, well, we tricked with that.
yeah, you
I
know.
never thought that, oh my God, we turned a corner. It's not going to be a Charlton Heston movie. And I turned the corner and said, oh my God, it's a Charlton Heston movie.
Dang
Yeah,
it.
because I mean, if somebody had a science fiction TV show, and or say like uh Voice of the Bottom of the Sea, and Admiral Nelson had to see the president, and it was some black man with big ears
Hmm.
sitting in the Oval Office, you're like, wow, that's cool, he looked like Obama, have a
Hmm.
band collared suit,
Yeah. Yep. That'd be cool.
you
Or
Yeah.
know.
even if you had like the movie when Morgan Freeman is the president, or
Yep. Yep.
Morgan
That'd be
or
great.
Morgan Freeman is God. It's like, okay, that's different. That's a little more comfortable. But you don't even have those anymore. I mean, I just like when George Burns was in Oh God.
I'm like, whose God is that?
I hated that crap.
Why does he look like he's about to fall over and die?
And
My
Yeah,
God
I,
is, vigorous. You know, Lies
Yeah,
of
They
I,
take you do something
I
about
moved.
yourself.
I moved on from that. I couldn't watch that. No.
mm-mm.
Couldn't watch it. And even depiction of Jesus every time, even like on Saturday Night Live or any satire show, they'll show Jesus as as looking like one of the Bee Gees.
Yeah, even though, of course, where he comes from is technically Africa. Okay, why would he
It's
look like
supposed to
that?
be even the things that are supposed to be satirical or something like that. He's
Hmm.
always looks the same. Always looks the same. So I mean, to me, like I said, the future is now. We can get a little bit of truth. Stop feeding us garbage. And AI
Yeah,
is
say,
a
tell me the truth and let me figure the rest out on my own. That's
AI is a
all.
garbage. Our AI is a
Yes, a
garbage
garbage
maker.
bin.
AI is a
Yeah.
garbage maker, man. I tell you, and we're eating it.
Because a lot of
Well,
people will not
I,
understand what
I
real stuff looks like because they'll think that the AI stuff is what real stuff looks like, you know?
yeah, and they need to talk to somebody like me because with AI, I mean, come on. I was doing research on the stock market crash of 1929,
Hmm.
and okay, why is it's 1929, but y'all have like the stock exchange looking like today?
Yeah. What the heck?
And
And the stuff they put on
also,
there, the little crinkly things they put on there,
yeah,
it look like it's old.
and also, why is it when you show somebody in a panic using a phone, it's a regular phone, but you got a lit candle on top?
Candlestick phone.
They don't know what
Right?
that's supposed to look like.
Yeah, that's just like I was watching a baseball video, and the narrator, the AI narrator, kept saying the Street Lewis Cardinals.
Yeah, because ST. Okay, that's
But you
Street
know
Louis
what
Cardinals.
though? I say it's on YouTube, but I read the New York Times on the regular. I read, and I see it used to be primo,
Excuse me, what? I'm
regarding
sorry. I used to be. You say it now.
primo,
Hmm.
really good. And I see so many drop words, drop language, and you know that they're using AI.
And they're not actually checking their work.
They're not
Yeah,
So
checking
how
a
do you
damn
tell
thing.
children to check their work when they're in school and this is the product that you're putting out, you know?
the- let me tell you something. This book that I came out with recently, I can see where my editors unfortunately use AI on one of the stories.
Mm.
Okay, because it's a word there that I'm like, what the hell is that? What are they doing? You know. So and right now I'm afraid because I'm trying to solve a mystery that's been in my head since I was a child. Okay, and I asked AI, could they find out, the solution to the mystery, and AI came back with two different answers.
Mhm.
And now I got to do more research to find out which is the correct one.
Mm. All right. But guys, we get down to the last few minutes. So I guess, each person just let us know which show you think or song or film best describes your utopia and the one that describes the current level of where we are, I guess a dystopia or maybe your utopia. So, yeah, James, what is your utopia and where do you see us now?
Okay, my utopia, I wanted so much for us to live in a world of Star Trek.
Hmm.
Okay, but I see now that's not to be. Okay, unless what was it, Star Trek, the genetics war, whatever. But
World War III.
World War Three.
Yeah.
Um a song is it's a song that best describes what's going on now and how I feel. I would say Devo's through being cool.
Mm. I'm through being cool.
There you go.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, exactly. I'm with you. I'm through being cool.
Eliminate the ninnies and the
And the
twits.
twits. Yeah. I'm with you, man. All right. How about you, Sonia? Where are you? Where's your utopia? Where are we right now?
I want, I still want the world of Star Trek, even though I know it has to go through the eugenics and World War III to get there. But I'm afraid we live more in a Babylon 5 type of world, um,
Whoa.
where it's
Whoa.
only going to take a common enemy to get this planet together. I would love to live the big blue marble. Imagine in the interim, I would love to live the big blue marble and John Lennon Imagine world. But yeah, we live. I aim for Star Trek, but we live in Babylon 5.
Okay. How about you, Otto? What's yours?
Well, I'm thinking about any good episode of Star Trek Voyager.
Yeah.
You know, for my future.
Yeah.
Everybody's
Oh,
pretty much equal,
mm-hmm.
and my song would be Earth, Wind and Fire's Fantasy.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
I just listened to that before I came up.
Oh, there we go. There we go. All right. Okay. I don't know. I think, as we talk about it, yeah, I think that, for I guess our age group and stuff, we all thought that, we would live in the Star Trek universe. That, we would be boldly going when humankind has never gone before. That was the thing. We were doing it together, all, as a federation, not just of people from our world, but other worlds together, you know, just seeing what's out there, exploring, examining, trying to keep our hands off, don't change it, let it be itself, but be able to explore it. So yeah, I think that would be, the best of all possible worlds, just to live that. And my current world right now, I gotta say, it is Animal Farm. This is where we are. We are at Animal Farm level
Can I
right
can I
now.
modify my what I would like
Sure,
the world to be? There's
sure.
also a series of books that my mentor and AC Crispin started, Starbridge, where the young people take over exploring the world, the universe, and the galaxies.
I never want that to happen because young people are particularly stupid. So I
Not the ones
never
in
want
her
that to
book.
happen. Oh
Not
no,
the
I,
they
ones
are
in
I,
her
I
not
book.
don't.
I want
young.
them to go
Young,
through the
young
training she described.
yeah,
I
they
don't.
are
I don't go to
stupid
the. I
because they
don't.
don't have any
I'm not.
experience and they have not lived long enough, and they are no.
I'm
I
not
do not want young
invested.
people exploring my world.
I'm not
Thank
invested.
you.
I'm not invested in that young thing. Just for the
No,
sake.
God
No, I
no,
want the
no.
education she describes
It's not about
That's
in
what I'm
her book.
saying.
education. It's
I'm
not
just
about
saying.
education. It's about
I'm just saying
experience.
the guy.
What about I'd like to have the
Oh
world to
World
yeah,
to
sing
sing in
That's
perfect
perfect
great. I
yeah,
love
harmony.
that. I love
absolutely. Yeah,
that.
Perfect
I'm with you. All right,
harmony.
guys. Well, we
Only
are
not
down to
share a
our last.
Coke.
We're down to our last minute, y'all.
But I
Bye.
said real quick,
Great
Penelope,
conversation. What? What is it?
real
You got
quick.
2 seconds.
Is that the so-called young people are the startups of these racist, sexist, anti-everything wormholes, rabbit holes podcasts that we have now. Those are the 20-year-olds that are doing it. So that young thing
No, I'm
doesn't
going
work.
younger than that, dude.
It doesn't.
Okay,
Yeah.
well,
Okay.
guys, we are at the
Bye.
end. All right. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful radio weekend. Take care of yourselves. Bye bye.